Thank you. My name is Jerome Kennedy Fitzgerald. I am the proud son of Edward Patrick Fitzgerald. And one of the things we remember so fondly about growing up with Daddy was that he was really passionate about two things in particular. First and foremost was Junkanoo and the Valley Boys. And of course, he grew up in an era where politics was coming to the forefront, and the empowerment of young Bahamians, which is something that he took very, very seriously. So he was very involved in the Progressive Liberal Party and the formation and being involved with those leaders at the time. And so our memories of him from then really centered around those key areas.
And then we started to attract people who had been active in Junkanoo longer than myself, people like Doyle Burrows. And one of the keys was we had a quality drummer in the person of Edward Fitzgerald, who came to us in 1959. He brought with him a wealth of experience, even though he was a young man at that time. He brought Burwin Smith along with him, and we got people from up in the Kemp Road area like Deuce Thompson, and others started to follow.
He was also, as many people know, he was a fantastic father to me and all of my brothers and sisters. And we always knew that at the end of the day, his children came first. There wasn't anything that we wanted for that we didn't receive. We were able to receive a good education, travel around the world, and know at the end of the day that in his own way, he showed us that his love had no end, really, to it. One of the things, when you talk to him about his success in business, he always goes back to the discipline that being in Junkanoo and involvement with the Valley Boys, that discipline that was ingrained in him from that, and how that then was translated into his business success. And I think that for me personally, I know one of the greatest attributes that I really loved about Daddy was that he had and has such a big heart. He really is probably one of the most giving people that I know, and I recall very fondly one day someone commenting, I think I was probably about 17 at the time, and so you're talking about 30 years ago, but I still remember it today, when someone was commenting that it's a good thing, Edward, you're not in charge of the Treasury. And he says, well, if I was in charge of the Treasury, at least the money would go where it's supposed to go, and it would go to the people. And so I always remember that, but that's how Daddy is, and he always treated everybody the same. That's another thing I really loved about him. It didn't make a difference what your background was, or where you came from, or who you were related to, or what political party you supported, what your religion was. He always treated everybody the same. And I think that that's something that I had the great privilege to really learn from him, having the opportunity at a young age really to sit in the office with him in all of his meetings, travel with him in every end of business meetings, see how he interacted with people, and the great level of respect that he always showed to everyone. And so those are some of the things that when people comment to me about today, I really give my father, Edward, all of the credit when it comes to that. That's something that he instilled in all of his children. And so I think I can speak on behalf of all of us when I say that we could not have had a better father. We don't think there's a better father anywhere in the world. One who has shown us a great deal of love and compassion and inspired us all to really be our best, and inspired me to achieve whatever it is I dreamed that I could achieve. And it's with that confidence that I have been able to accomplish what I have, and my siblings have been as well.
But the following year, I persuaded people to come with us. Edward, I think they were, if I'm not sure if Edward was there at the time, because me and Edward, like I say, rushed for his father the year before. But I persuaded people like Michael Curtis, Lord Cody, Deuce, Lestron. They were people who were seasoned Junkanoo people. So we got, in 1960, we got a lot of the people from some of the major senior groups at the time to come with the Valley Boys. And that was, to us, that was the beginning of what we have today. Because I always just tell Gus, I always thought the Valley Boys started in 1960. Tell you, remind me that you all had a group from 1958, which was the forerunner of what we call the Valley Boys. And we had people when we started. The Valley Boys was an offshoot of the Pioneer Sporting Club. Because if you were a member of the Pioneer Sporting Club, then you were a member of the Valley Boys. It was around the time when Gus went to school, and myself and Ed and Edward was actually running the group. Because Edward filled in when Gus was off at Morgan State, and they had shot the Thunderball movie. Edward was actually in charge.
The drums has evolved from the regular keg. We used to have the wooden keg. Either the salt beef keg was the preferred barrel. Then they started making those. One of the Honourees, not one of the Honourees, but Doyle Burrows, he was instrumental in the early years of heading the drums for the Valley as well, along with Galah George Wilson. He was also, Galah was one of our lead drummers when I came in. Our other honoree, Mr. Edward Fitzgerald, he was the lead drummer before Galah, and I believe Galah took over from him. In that mix, you had a person like a Burvin Smith, you had a person like a Frankie Smith, you had persons like a Reginald Forbes, you have persons like Churchill, Roll, Cockter. Those fellas are off in Freeport.
And one thing a lot of people may not know about Daddy, of course, is that Daddy was a policeman. He started off his career as a policeman. For our part, the kids, we didn't know him as a policeman. By the time we came around, he had left the police force and was in business. But being a policeman was always first and foremost in his heart. And so we grew up with having policemen around the house, having them come into the office, and a great connection, even still today, that we have with many persons in the police force really is a result of Daddy's commitment to the police force. And I don't think he ever stopped being a policeman. And when you listen to stories going as far back as his childhood and him playing cowboys and Indians, you go and talk to people in the Valley and they have all the stories of Daddy being and playing cowboys and Indians and how you couldn't shoot him and how he would never die and so forth. And so that's just who Daddy was. That's who Daddy is. He just has a spirit that does not die, does not give up, does not quit. And that's the one thing you know about him. And his career as a policeman, he was very, very stern and strict and fearless, which he still is. And he didn't care who broke the law. There's a story about him having the nerve to stop, of all people who he said was speeding, one day his own mother, Nana. And so, if you have the courage to stop your mother for speeding, and the story goes that he told her that she needs to slow down, and if she don't slow down, that he can give her a ticket, of which she responded to him, and those of y'all who know Nana would appreciate this. She said, yeah, the next time you're going to have to catch me to give me the ticket, and she sped off. So so that's Daddy, and that's the relationship he has with Nana. And we also thank God that our grandmother Nana is still here today. The matriarch of our family is still here to lead us, and she is a special person. She had a special son in Edward. And so again, we say we're just so grateful to have him and have shared his life and his experiences with him, and able to relay again these experiences to the Valley Boys and to the wider community. And so again, we appreciate everything you're doing to honor him. And Daddy was a big dreamer. I mean, a lot of people don't know that, but growing up, he always had an idea, and he would come and share it with us, and he always encouraged us to dream big. And that's one of the things that I think we always remember. Everything had to be big, and you had to have the confidence to know that you could dream big and execute on something big, and he always gave you that confidence. But that came through his life experiences, and he's just a unique and special individual. Well, Daddy credits, of course, being involved in Junkanoo through his father, who was Eugene Fitzgerald, who was actively involved in Junkanoo and actually brought himself and brought Daddy and Dr. Off, Ronnie Fitzgerald, and also other members of the family as well brought into Junkanoo as a result of that. And the passion that Daddy had, I think, was born from an early age. He said as early as age 7 or 8, he was actively involved in Junkanoo and very interested in what was going on. And of course, Dr. Off is no stranger, and so that, no stranger not only to Junkanoo but to the Bahamas. And so that spirit was actually passed on from what we call Granddaddy Gene, and who we call Granddaddy Gene. That was passed on to both Daddy and Dr. Off, and even Uncle Gene Sr. was very involved in music. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank the Valley Boys and the committee for honoring Daddy, Edward Fitzgerald, with an honor that I think is well deserved, and we are really happy to accept it on his behalf. And so thank you very much.